Welcome to Three Witches and a Druid podcast, a Canadian podcast about paganism in today's modern society.
Hello, and welcome back to Three Witches and a Druid. Although today we are four witches and a druid, talking about our experiences in modern paganism. And with it being Pride Month this month, we wanted to talk about being gay in the pagan path and how that may support you. And since none of us come from that community, we have a special guest with us today to answer some of our questions and tell us some amazing stories, I'm sure. I'm Margot.
And I'm Maeve.
Gwen.
And I'm Brian. And our fourth here is Jason, or better known around Halifax as Rouge.
Yep. Welcome.
So Margot pointed out that the month of June is Pride Month.
Yes.
Now, please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm under the impression that Pride Month in June is a United States thing. Here in Canada, almost every province has their own Pride Month. Is that correct?
Every province has their own Pride Festival that they do throughout the year. But nationally, like noted by government and the whole nine yards federally, this is Pride Month.
Good to know.
It's both Canadian and US.
Okay.
I do believe it's even European. I'm not 100% sure on that, but yeah. So this is National Pride Month.
Excellent. Good to know.
So how long have you been a pagan? Or how long have you known you've been a pagan? That's another question, isn't it?
That's two good ones, though. I'm a recovering Catholic, as I like to call it. I remember being 12, sitting in church with my grandparents and hearing some of the stuff that was being said. I went, oh no, this isn't good. Some serious shit here. Like, so like I had my communion, I had my confirmation, but you hit a certain point being queer and being Catholic, just really don't think I'm never gonna sit on my deathbed and go, yeah, all that great sex I had and that guy I fell in love with, none of it, just let's go to heaven. No, that doesn't work. So I sat down with my parents and I had a really long discussion because I wanted religion. I wanted that energy. I knew I had that. And I studied a lot of different variations of religion throughout the time. It took me a while. And I finally came back to them and I said, okay, this one. And we sat down and we talked about it. And I had to learn a lot, read a lot. Silver Ravenwolf was a big part of it back in the early 90s. A lot of her books. But yeah, from that point on, so from 13 on, it's been part of my life.
Wow. It's interesting that you said you wanted religion. I always wanted religion too, my whole life. And the only one that was available to me through most of it, through before I was 20, was Christianity. I get the look.
Yeah, and I went through the different variations of Christianity. Like the 10 Commandments, cool. But like when you get into certain other things and you start reading them, you're like, everybody has said these or done these things already. Like y'all can eat seafood, but we live on the Atlantic coast. It's kind of like eating the proverbial apple, really. And I do enjoy a good cotton poly blend. So.
Yeah, because I was trying to remember how you and I even met. I'm not even sure whether that was through the
shop.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was through the pagan community or through the drag community, going to shows or.
I remember you in the pagan community when I was a teenager.
Ooh.
Right.
Are you really that much younger than us?
Oh, he is.
I'm 39.
Okay, then.
Yeah. The shocked and horrified looks on all of our faces that we're just like, oh my gosh, yes, you are. You're the youngest person on today, Rouge.
Rouge is fine.
I don't even know where, but I remember meeting you through our mutual friend, Linda. And I was wondering, because I know that becoming pagan was difficult in the area where you grew up. For Linda, you know, like she had to move away for that really to realize itself. You know, you were in a larger area, but it was in a rural setting, sort of. It was a remote, small city, would you say is where you're from?
I'm from Glace Bay.
Glace Bay. So
it's a small town and predominantly Catholic.
Yeah.
And I came from a Polish Catholic family.
Right.
Like, they got it though.
Yeah.
Like, my grandmother doesn't push it anymore.
Isn't that lovely that your parents seem to have let you explore that, as opposed to, if you don't do what we say, you're not our son anymore, like, you know, or something like that.
My parents are my biggest supporters. They come to shows.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
They loved my husband. They hate him now just as much as I do. It's lovely. They've always been there through everything. So, like, even when I came out, they were like, wait.
Yeah.
What took you so long? Like, I remember when I first came out, I came out as bi. And Mom was like, okay. And I was like, how dare you? It was like maybe a week later, I was like, okay, so she is not bisexual. But my dad was even like, he tried to give me the sex talk. And I remember after I came out to him, he was trying to do the sex talk thing. And I was like, you do understand there's a reason why I know I'm gay, right? He was like, good talk. Good talk. Good talk. The worst was when he found out that my boyfriend was sleeping over as teenagers. He was like, wait a minute, Chris is here every weekend. I was like, yes, he is. He just looked, he's like, wow. That's your boyfriend, isn't it? I was like, yes, it is. It's like,
Not much you can do at that point.
yeah, that's what he was like, Chris might want to sleep upstairs now. I was like, what's the point? He was like, I hate you're having more sex than I am. He walked away.
Oh, no!
It's a good family dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're jumping ahead of ourselves a little bit here. Can you maybe introduce us to yourself, Jason? Tell us who you are. Like,
yes.
We, of course, know who you are, and most people in Halifax are going to know who you are, but the vast majority of our listeners, they'll probably still know who you are in time.
Well, my actual name is Jason. My pronouns are he, she, they. I'm pangender, which means I feel all three aspects. It came out at the age of 16 or 17. I do a lot of education work now in and around perform. I'm known as Rouge Fatale here and around places. So I do drag. I'm part of a duo for plug it now. We on TikTok we're at Station DRG, on Instagram and Twitter at Station DRG, and on YouTube, Station DRG, for a show called Queen's Ranting. So it's our own little rant every week about craziness from our lives, or if we have a topic, or there's not a lot of time there's a topic. I've lived in Halifax since I was 9. Became a creature of the night here and around Halifax, though, when I was 22. Was known as a notorious party girl in my 20s. Tried to clean up the act a whole lot in my 30s. And and it's been a wild ride. Like we just said too, I've been pagan since I was 13. I call it kitchen witch, old school, you know. I've got a very big green thumb, but pretty much I built outside into an altar in my backyard. It's a really good time here. And I just got out of the hospital recently. I had a broken neck for over a year. I was paralyzed on one side of my body, and it's slowly coming back. With a whole lot of prayer, a whole lot of spell cast, and a whole lot of stubborn determination. So yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell as of right now.
Excellent.
Excellent. I'm trying to think. I met you through the pagan community.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes. And I remember you emceed my 40th birthday.
Yes, I did.
That was hilarious.
That was an excellent night. My sister got to use the MC for my 40th birthday. And that club on Gottingen Street.
Oh my God.
I forget which club it was.
Was it upstairs or downstairs? It was downstairs.
It was down.
We were in the basement.
Was it Vortex?
No, it was Blue Moon
Yeah.
or
Oh,
Blue
that's
Moon.
right.
Oh, Blue Moon. I
Yeah.
remember.
That was a crazy night.
We did a whole lot in the pagan community through Blue
Yes.
Moon for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah.
It was a very interesting combination of places and people.
Mhm.
I really enjoyed like the pagan community clashing with a whole lot of the gay community, but like in a good way. Like the intermingling of the two communities was a whole lot of fun
Mm-hmm.
at the time.
Yeah, it was great. And I think it's because we had that place, right? We were able to do that with that venue. So you miss when those things come and go, different venues, and it was tried in other places. But yeah, the Blue Moon was really a good home for that, wasn't it?
It was a safe place for the queer community. So, and
Yeah.
let's face fact, our communities overlap.
A
A
lot.
whole lot of the LGBT plus community or queer oriented is very much a pagan, is pagan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of solitaire.
For saying Halifax, has such a huge pagan community, it's like 95% solitaires.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all get together for like the biggins.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
biggies.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's very much true. Like I remember one of the Avalon Easts, we did the masculine and feminine circles.
Right.
Right.
We did the rits, one for women, one for masculine, and sort of brought them in together afterwards and sort of had that. Because I remember doing it because I was in drag doing it.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yes,
I remember
indeed.
that
I
now.
did the drag camping and I miss those.
Yeah.
Oh, we all miss
So
those.
much.
Those campfires at 12 o'clock at night, those were the bonding hours. I made some
Yes.
very true
Yeah.
friends through that.
Yes, we haven't well, this year there won't be anything probably, and last year there wasn't able to be anything. It's kind of a pest, but COVID will be over one day.
We look at 2020 with bright eyes.
We do.
So, as a member of the Halifax, Nova Scotia pagan community and a prominent member of the LGBT community here, we had mentioned that there was a lot of overlap. We find that a lot of safe spaces that are safe for LGBT2+ communities are obviously safe spaces for pagan. Like in your experience, you were able to come out quite early. Do you find that there was much of a similar coming out as gay as it was coming out as pagan? Do you feel that there was a similar story, or are they completely different in a sense?
Some people within my group, it was going to be a difficult scenario just because I do have a lot of folk that were going to have a hard go. There's no other way around it. I did have some very hardcore Christians, and pagan equals devil.
Oh, yes.
It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter what you say. And it was one thing to be gay, but at least I was gay and Catholic.
But now you're gay and a devil worshiper.
But now I'm gay and Satan inhabits my body. The sodomy kind of made that happen anyway, but whatever. We're not going to go. It's a completely different scenario to me because, quite frankly, it didn't change as many people's minds about me as being queer, and coming out again as gender, or gender fluid is what some folk know it as well. I just threw pagan in there. It's like, yeah, I'm queer. Oh, and I'm a pagan. Oh, and by the way, my gender.
Yeah.
They, as like in the last 15 years of it, I couldn't care less.
Mm-hmm.
That first little while when I was a teen and trying to learn and like, why do you have that star on your laptop? Oh, who am I kidding? I didn't have a laptop. I had binder and paper because I had a laptop at like 25. But like, still, it's like, why do you have that pentacle sticker on there? Well, star sticker. And, you're explaining things and what each point means. And you're explaining why it's this way and not this way. And, it's not Satan and it's not the devil. And there's a whole lot more to it, and like trying to explain symbols and runes and things that are why you have some crystals and everything like this when you're a teenager, when you're already terrified that they think you're gay and you're already terrified that they think the worst of you. Like when I was a younger teen, I had like a size 54 pant and I was like 4'11". It's like at grade 9 to 10, I grew from like 5'4" to 6 foot 3 months. and dropped a bunch of weight. And it was sort of just one of those like, damn, puberty. Okay, fuck, let's do this. When that sort of hit, the confidence sort of came through a bit more, I guess. And when I finally came out, being pagan made it helped, if anything, more for me.
Mhm.
Like, you know, I started doing it before it was cool, so that helped.
Yeah.
As well. Because everybody started watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and you know, Willow became Wiccan, and it was like,
Yeah, I know. There's a new Charmed series. It could get exciting again.
oh, I know. Well, who was it? One of the companies, like down in the States, one of the like fancy 2D companies, did up an entire kit a witchy kit, like become a witch in your own home, and it had like the oyster shell, and it had the sage smudge, and it had like a piece of the wood. What's it called? I never remember it.
Oh, are you talking about Urban Outfitters, the Sage Kit?
Yes. Yeah, and everyone, and it like, it pretty much said like, as long as you do use all these, you're gonna be okay, right? It's like
the TikTok witches right now.
Yeah.
I love witch talk makes me laugh.
Now, when you said being a pagan made it easier to and on the whole, is that because you had your faith to give you strength and comfort and all of that? Or is it because there was another section of society that would very readily and without hesitation accept you and welcome you? You know what I mean? There's that inner faith, and then there's, the pagan.
No,
was your faith.
It was my faith.
Yeah.
It was my faith. I had met a few people in the pagan community. But like when everything was going on at this point in my life, I had just got my driver's license, let alone be able to go to a lot of stuff. And I lived in Lake Echo. So like even getting to Rit at the Commons was 45 minutes. Like you had to plan. And those were the big ones for me. Like I didn't even know about the church at first, and doing all the other stuff like Yule and things like that. Those sort of came into play later on down the road in my 20s. But I was quite the solitaire in my teen years. So having that faith and having my faith in the Lord and the Lady, it helped. It helped a great deal. Knowing that I had my faith kept me going quite a bit. Just in the straightforward teachings that were given, it gave me that hope that, there's not a bad place. You're going to have to do what you have to do to make sure you're on the right path. And this was the thing I needed to do. So she helped a lot.
I understand the faith helping a lot. I can't imagine. I think just what everyone here can't imagine where they'd be without our faith and without the Lord and the Lady, to help us in our lives.
There's so many things that coincide with the Christian religion, and we all know why, and that's all very well and good. And it kind of helps in a way, because like I've taught my mom, and my mom calls me on the 22nd or the 21st, like bless her heart, and she's like, "Happy Yule." I'm like, "Happy Yule, Mom." And she's like, "Are you?" And she always makes sure that like my Yule gift is my pajamas to wear on Christmas Day over to her house.
That's lovely.
Adorable to me. It is, and it makes me happy because she's trying and she understands, and she calls on the solstices and she calls on Beltane, and she's like, she's like, "Are you doing a bonfire?" I'm like, "Yes." And then my sister's in the background going, "Are you having an orgy around it?" I was like,
if we're lucky.
"Yeah, if the bark is still going, yeah." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm down.
Can't wait. Let's go."
It's good to have that. It's good to have your faith. It plays so much into our everyday, no matter what. It's ingrained into my head now to just get up and thank and to do all of that. People don't understand. Like, you don't have to be uber pagan or uber Christian to understand that just waking up and thanking the day to be awake is still thanking your deity. Little things you do throughout the day, like that's why I love kitchen work, because you put your emotions into your food. You put your faith into things to do and create. Like when you're out and you're sowing a garden, It doesn't matter if you're growing friggin' lilacs or if you've got a little vegetable garden on your patio. You put kind words into the soil. It's your spellcast. If it comes up and it comes through and it fruits or your labors come through, your spellcraft's working. These things are good for the world. You're putting in those good vibes and that good energy, and it's coming back to you. You get the fruits of your labor. Like, all of this stuff is all connected to what we do. And it's all elemental and it's all interchanging. And, when you have these things, it's so much better in the world. So faith plays it so much more than people even want to even know. And so many people do so much run of a day, thanking themselves, like thanking the energies. It's all actual spellcraft. You just don't even know you're doing it. And it's fantastic when you start to sort of look at it and go, wait a minute.
It gets almost ingrained in you. Like you're trying to go somewhere downtown and you find a perfect parking spot and you're like, thank you, goddess. Here we go.
Yeah.
Little things.
And you're thinking in the present.
Right.
You're not halfway down the road going, oh, I wish there's a spot. You're going, I'm going to get that spot.
Thank you, goddess. Here we are.
In the third row. And I'm going to get it because it's usually open. And you get there and it's not the third, it's the fourth. And you look and go, good enough. Thank you, Lord and Lady. And then, right? But you did it.
Yep.
You did something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that just hit me really hard a couple years ago when I was thinking about it all. And it just really did change my whole viewpoint on a lot of stuff. So it's a powerful thing.
Wow.
That's kind of what our show is the random ramblings, and it's about our experiences. None of us, are trying to say my experience is the only experience, or
we're not selling expertise. We're just talking about our lives.
Yes, just letting people out there know that there are other people living lives like they are, which is why we're so glad that you are joining us today to let other people in the LGBT plus community as well know that there are other people out there living lives and being successful and finding their path, which is great.
I think that's one of the connections that you find similarity between the two communities is a lot of the time there may be a lot of fear or uncertainty with coming out. And then when you come out, you realize, wait a minute, there are other people just like me.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We've talked in the past about people like going to the store and saying, yeah, I think I'm the only one. And then arriving at the festival to realize, wait, there's 250 other people here.
That's what happened to me. Like, that's a big one. That's a huge connection, I will say. Who's walked in the Pride Parade or been on a float in Pride Parade? Margot, I know you have.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've walked.
When you come up over that hill and you see 6, 7 deep all the way up Barrington and just screaming, and that positive energy that's flowing like out of that audience and onto that street. And let's face fact, every single one of us holds an energy, pulls it in. You feel that overload of just radiant joy. And I have to say, like, being so young and being taken in by a community and a circle at the time, and coming up over that hill and seeing the amount of tents and the amount of people at like Avalon East back in the day when it was on that big farm.
Yeah.
And every time I turned around, I saw more.
Yeah.
And like, we got there early, and I just remember coming around the corner and seeing like more cars coming in, more people coming in, and more people dressed like me, and more people acting like me. And finding other queer folk at the festival was liberating in itself as well.
Mm-hmm.
And like being able to wear your sarong and your pentacle out and just be, and watching the people with the flowers being braided in, and the rituals and the workshops. And you're right, it's that energy it's almost the same with the positivity base that comes out of it. It's just, when you find your people, you find them. And like I said, that intermingle and that chain, that those chains of people and the bonds that we get, just, it makes it even better.
Wow, you're going to make me cry. I was almost crying there. Thinking about all the people and joining your people and all of that. I'm like, I'm going to cry. It's so the truth.
It was a lot of the people within the community, like within both communities, that helped me sort of like see my right path and clean myself up and get myself on the right way. And again, having my faith and having those people within the community that I could talk to. And like over the years, we've lost a couple of amazing folk within our community, like Val, for instance.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, and of course, Miss Snow White. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, but we all came together no matter what as a community as well. And it was so wonderful to see the things that came out of all of these. And out of the sadness, the amount of people that we've reconnected with in the last little while has been unreal. Even like, well, Margot and I have chatted, I think, more in the last little while, like in the last couple of years.
Yes.
Than I think we ever have. And it's just so lovely to be able to know that you have those people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a bit more of a, I wouldn't say, I guess maybe controversial question.
Oh, I love it.
In early paganism, of course, there was a very high emphasis on the feminine and the masculine.
Yes.
Is we've moved on as a society that, I don't know if paganism necessarily has changed, but as a society, we see that there's much more fluidity to that. Do you feel like in 2021, as a member of the LGBTQ+ community and the pagan community, do you find that sometimes people have a hard time understanding the fluidity or understanding that things change? Or do you feel that that's still perfectly fine and acceptable in our society? Like we talked about at the festival, we had the ritual of men and women, or masculine and feminine. Like, do you feel that would change in today's world?
Let's see. The thing was, we had one woman running one man running the other. And then we all came together and I ran the middle. So we actually kind of sort of brought it into that.
Yeah.
And talked about it that day too, or in the circle, that you can be both. Because there's so many different paths within the pagan community that there is two-spirited folk that are considered within their own religions, if they are pangender, or they are trans, or if they are gay. Like, we're actually been more accepting to a lot of that stuff than anybody.
Right.
Because within our own, it's equality. It's your spirit, right? It's the top of the point.
Yeah.
That's the person. And the body that we encompass, I think, is the beautiful scenario to this, because just because I'm masculine looking on the outside, my inside can be feminine. The beautiful part about this is I can have the Lord and the Lady within me, because it's an equal aspect to either or.
Yeah.
Right.
So to me, it's never been that much of an issue, truthfully. And the beautiful thing is, it's like, I know the people who celebrate the mother and who celebrate the goddess and push more towards the goddess. And then there is the communities that celebrate the god and celebrate his returns and his side of things. But there's so many that also mix. I do the Lord and the Lady. And for me, it's an equality aspect of it. So it is what it is to me, is that they can be all three scenario bases, because we can take them in and have that feel and have those energies. Yeah, I'd love to hear other opinions on that though.
Well, it's very interesting you say that, because, way back when, I was coming into my paganism, other people coming into their paganism, you especially got a lot of women in the beginning who were so very enthralled with the idea that they could have a feminine deity. Maybe they'd grown up in Judeo-Christian, Islamic, whatever the case might be, households. And a lot of women found a hard time relating to the masculine side. And oftentimes a lot of men in the beginning have a hard time relating to the feminine side, just because of how we have been split up in society into gender roles, and how we had. Where it sounds like to you, the whole thing was just flowed so much more easily. With, the masculine and the feminine concepts flowed much more easily for you. That sounds really nice.
Like, to me, it just was always a characteristic that came within our religion, just with the whole aspects of equality and the whole everything balanced. Everything has to be balanced to keep cohesiveness. And that's why it was always one of those things that, especially if someone feels the more masculine or someone feels the more feminine, then those two counteract each other as well and keep the balance. It was always just one of those things that sort of just came natural within this religion to me.
Very cool. Very cool.
Well, I know, again, for me, I came from a very Catholic background. And I also came from a horrific family trauma that I was so angry at God for the longest time that one of the things for me finding paganism and the idea of a female deity is that I didn't have to deal with God because he, messed up my family. So I had the feminine deity that I could work with. And I mean, I've grown enough since then and worked through a lot of stuff that it took a long time, but I was able to accept the masculine side of deity as well, understanding the importance of that balance and understanding the two sides of the coin and needing the energy in my life as well, too. So
when I began in the, mid 80s sort of thing, and it was as a solitary, as so many people do, and you get what your information out of books and that sort of thing. And I didn't have very many, 1.5 books, one was a bunch of photocopied, mimeographed instead of photocopied, maybe pages, and one was...
yeah, there wasn't a lot back then.
Yeah.
No.
So just that kind of thing. And the doorway was Wicca, right? For almost everybody, that doorway into paganism. I practiced because it started to bring that balance in, that male-female balance, which made me answer to a lot of things. But, the ritual within a lot of circles with the chalice and the blade and that creative energy only comes out of that joining and all of those sorts of things. As I grew up, as my practice matured, as I felt more comfortable and balanced in myself with those energies, I was less comfortable with that chalice and blade style of ritual, and that only through the great rite is there creative energy. And I think one of the things that people entering it now, or even in the last couple of 10, 20 years, there hasn't been, certainly in initiatory traditions, there's still a great rite, there's still that, but it isn't as heavily based that's the creative force. That's where everything comes from. Yeah, that pan-gender, that balance and everything is achieved and creativity is achieved. You can do that within yourself. So that was kind of a coming into balance for myself over the years that I became more comfortable with that. I was never entirely comfortable with the great rite. Yeah, it's evolved for me. And I think a lot of other people have felt more comfortable as things have evolved within society too. Even though I'm a heteronormative sort of person, I just was not comfortable with that symbolism. It didn't work for me. It didn't speak to my experience of the world that I belong to. I think the way society practices pagan rites has grown up as we've matured as a society too, eh?
Yeah, I do remember in the beginning.
Yeah.
When you're very fresh-faced and new, thinking, oh, no, I'll never be able to do this right. I don't have a male working partner. That whole concept.
Yeah.
But as you say, as time goes on and as, I became more and more familiar and worked more and more with the male, the masculine side, it's like, okay, I've got this in me.
Yeah.
And, you learn how to deal with that, or how to work with that. Because in the beginning, it's like, oh no, I'm only the feminine half. When in fact, I wasn't. It was something, you think that in the first year you're after it, right?
Right.
You're not sure what the heck's going on.
Yeah, exactly. And you still only have that one book, so.
Yeah. There was no other way to think. It wasn't until Cunningham came out with the Guide for the Solitary that we were all okay.
Yeah, exactly. I think also, as many of us now, we have multi-generational pagan families now, which is fabulous, but many of us here have spoken, even if we were not raised in practicing families, we were raised with a Christian outlook. So we had the idea that there was this book, right? because there's this sacred tone that kind of sets it out. So we really invested in that. And that's the other thing, that experiential, personal. We tell people you have to find your own path, co-create it with divinity or whatever, but that's what makes it sacred, is that you bring your authentic true self, whether you're female, whether you're pan, whether you're whatever you are, your authentic self, and that partnership with deity.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's all that the Lord and Lady ever asked for, is for you to be your true self.
Yeah.
There's never been a moment, and there will never probably ever be a moment, where you find a pagan tone that looks and says, by the way, don't do the gay thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of one of those things when you look back on our past, when you read things, you look and go like, oh, okay, they all dicking, that's fine. Like, it's always been like, it's a thing within the last, well, since Victorian times, that it's been a little more prudish in the world. And certain things were just started to look down upon, like within certain areas and religious aspects. Like, none of that was ever an issue. Like, your gender was never an issue, your sexuality was never an issue. None of that ever came into play. None of that should ever really come into play, especially in paganism. Like, there's always going to be a path for you to follow. Luckily, we don't have like a Westboro Baptist version of paganism, you know?
Right.
You know, we may have some Mormon versions, but we don't talk about it.
It's funny because every once in a while you'll get approached with like those sort of questions. Like, we get asked a lot, like, are there female druids? And it's like, I don't even know how to answer this, because to my understanding, the 60 to 70% of ADF is female. Yeah, it's not something we ever think about.
I always get this, so you're a warlock, and it's like, oh, for God's sake. Like, do I have a big gray robe with the staff going like, oh, like, no, fuck off, like, no. Just no. It's why
I was a warlock, I wouldn't be paying taxes.
Thank you. I would have a crystal cathedral down in the Texas.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I use pagan, even, because it's like, even trying to explain that witch can be used.
Yeah, pagan is an easier word
for everyone. It's just one of those moments like, no, I'm pagan.
Such an easier word.
Yeah. And if they want to get into it, that's when I look and go, okay, you're interested.
Yeah, okay.
Cool. Let's actually talk. Usually, once you say pagan and they don't understand, they look and go,
It just depends.
Yeah.
I love when they do the whole Barbara, like,
Yeah.
so where are you going on vacation? Like, they just walk it right out, right? You're doing so well till they get to that question. Most people here, like, they'll go into the gay and the drag thing, and then all of a sudden it's pagan, and they're like, oh. Okay. It's like, okay, the other shit didn't weird you out, but
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Ryan, how did you come out as pagan?
Funny.
Everybody else sort of had their thing.
I've told this story before. When I told my mom, I'm pagan. She got really quiet for a moment. She looked at me and said, "Is that what Tom Cruise is into?" And I said, "No." And she's like, "Okay, you do you. Doesn't matter to me." My family wasn't religious in any way. I wasn't baptized, anything like that. So it wasn't an issue for them.
It wasn't a struggle. I remember a funny story. Our mutual friend Linda, when her boyfriend, and again he was Glace Bay or whatever, when her fella told his mom that she was coming and that she was pagan, just be prepared. His mom went, "Does that mean she eats fish or not?" And he's like, "It's not about diet, Mom. It's not about her diet."
I love it. If you watch the show on YouTube, the Queen's Ranting show, like, Deva's vegan, and like they're like, "Oh, we had amazing vegan ham," and I was like, "No, you didn't. You had salt and flour."
That's the cool thing to harp on right now, is being vegan. Everyone likes to harp on vegans.
Yeah.
There's a really good TikTok star that does the whole, like, son comes out as trans or sexual and bisexual, and dad's super supportive. I'm out here for you all the time. And then daughter comes out, I'm vegan. They're like, get out of my house.
I love it. I love when they start going on about stuff. And they're like, oh, we found this great vegan cheese. I'm like, it's cheese. It's not even allowed to be called cheese. Don't. There's certain products they get angry.
Oh, I saw that. Oh, I remember that there was a commercial or something about these two aunts. They went to this fella went to visit his aunts, and he bought his friend, his male friend. He was gay. He was coming out to them. Same thing. They were like, "Oh, that's okay. Love is love, and that's wonderful." Oh, and we're vegetarians, and they're like, "Get out!"
I was a vegetarian for a period of time, and I often feel like it's a medal of honor being able to eat vegan hot dogs during that time. They were not edible.
They keep you sustained. I don't think they keep you alive.
Did it really keep you alive, though?
You can get vegan mail, and this is another thing that bothers me. It's vegan mail. Do you know what it is? It's just whipped oil. At least we have an egg in ours. You're just eating pure oil. It's like it's just margarine. My partner is vegetarian, but he is for health reasons. He's never eaten meat like his entire life. He's been even as a kid, he ate chicken once and threw it up. Like it's not a good thing. Seriously told me, I was like, why do you have to be cute? God damn it. And he's like, don't worry, I eat like sour cream and eggs and cheese.
Yeah, you eat eggs and...
You eat cheese, like real cheese. Like if I go into the kitchen and get the government block, you want to chew on this with me? He's like, fuck yeah, I'm down. I was like, we'll be fine. We can get through this together.
Well, see, I'm not vegan. I do dairy. Yeah, so I do cheese, I do eggs. Yeah.
No, that's fair. Karen's practically vegetarian, but she eats like a bird. It's a little different. Karen only eats for sustenance.
The size of a bird.
Yeah, she is the size of a bird too. But she only eats for sustenance. Until we started dating, I don't think she ever went to a restaurant. She never had nice food.
No. I used to hang out with her and she was change it. No.
Yeah, she'd eat astronaut food at a vacuum sealed pack if she could.
If I lived alone, I would probably be basically vegetarian, but I'm not making 2 meals.
Yes.
I'm just not.
We can make this work.
I like the dopamine. Give me a lasagna and my joint, and leave me alone. I am so happy with the carbs. Just put it in my face hole.
Oh, I envy those people. I eat for fun, for comfort, for sport, for everything.
Yeah.
Food is the love of my life. Honest to God, I wish.
Okay, folks, so listen. Are you listening? Good. These amazing folks have been doing this now for almost 10 months. And if you've been enjoying them, they have a Patreon account. Go over to their website. It's right there in the show notes. Take a look. And the links to Patreon is on the site. So go ahead and give them some money. Right now, no one even knows about them, and they already have 2 people, and they've made a total of $2. That's right, folks. They can all go and split a small Tim Hortons coffee with 4 straws right now. So we need to make sure that they get at least 3 cups of coffee before the end of the next episode. So if you all can go and help them, it'd be greatly appreciated. Also, check out Station DRG. We have merchandise as well, and it's locally made, Darkside Design, at stationdrg.ca.
Excellent. You're better at it than I am.
I sold my soul to do this, remember? It's a pretty cool group you've got going on. Like, it's not like you're, this is a great little scenario of people to have a great little conversation with. Like, I enjoyed this. I would like to come back whenever you need a person.
I've been doing radio for 20 years, and Margot, you've been on with me for just about on and off that much time, and Gwen and Brian, for years now, we've been on and off the radio. So I think because we're doing this, it feels like years and years and years. So it's very, very cool.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you're just sacrificing yourself, because now we're going to call you back all the time.
That would be amazing.
Oh, please do. I love telling. That's one thing. No one ever talks to me about my religion.
Yeah.
Happy to have you.
You have to bring your own straw for that coffee, though, right?
I will buy the full coffee. And whoever wants to I won't even split it. You guys can split the two of them.
Yeah.
I'll drink some water.
All right.
We are looking forward to the day when we are actually back around the table. 'Cause that's how this started.
That would be great.
Around the table, hanging out, talking. Now it's around the Zoom. Hanging out, talking.
Yes, you guys, you folks come a lot.
Can you imagine?
Oh, it solved a lot of problems.
I can't imagine all the meetings I've been to, and even like ritual online, and meetings with different people. It's like thank the goddess for Zoom.
We do drag shows on Zoom.
I tried to convince people for a while to use Twitch, but I guess Twitch got really strict on certain things.
Yeah, you can get away with a lot on Zoom. I know there's a lot of people there's sex video chats on Zoom. Like you can get into some pretty dark, freaky shit on Zoom.
Yeah.
I have learned some things. I did not want to learn them, but I had learned some.
And on that extremely happy note, thank you everybody for tuning in. And we're always very happy to talk to you. And you can certainly ask us any questions you might like. You can contact our Facebook page. And certainly anytime you can give us our 5 stars. We certainly love that. And feel free to contact us anytime. And until next time, everybody, merry meet.
Merry part.
And merry meet again.
Blessed
be.
This has been 3 Witches and a Druid podcast. Thanks for listening.